Good Mom and Monday. You're here at the Mistake Mama podcast. I'm Kaylee.
And I'm Mandee.
And we are your hosts.
This week we are going to be talking about what we wish we knew before we got pregnant, before we had more kids, you know, before all the chaos happened.
Yeah. Exactly.
And surprise, we're recording on an actual Monday.
Yes.
Not that you guys know or care, but
not that you knew that. We did record yesterday, so unless you have any wins, fails, our books are pretty much exactly the same as yesterday.
I have a fail.
You have a fail? Cool, let's do it.
Yeah. My son.
Oh, right.
Took a dive off a chair yesterday and got a big old split in his forehead, and I had to take him to urgent care. Thankfully, they didn't have to stitch it. They just glued and steri-stripped it. But
poor guy.
And the other side of that fail is, which I don't think I told you, I meant to text you, he can't do swim lessons. Yep. Because he can't get it wet for 5 to 7 days or until it falls off.
Oh, no. Mm-hmm. What did the class say?
So I called them this morning, and thankfully they wrote me a thing on an email. So for half of the price that I paid, I get towards another lesson at some point.
Okay.
So whenever the classes start up back in.
So maybe they
might all be in the same class, yeah. So I was bummed, he was bummed, because we've been telling him, because he didn't have it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we've been telling him, 2 more days, 1 more day, and then literally earlier yesterday, before he fell, we were like, you get swim class tomorrow, and he was like, yeah.
And it was his final week, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Of course. And he was really loving it. And it was, we've been like in the jive of doing it. It's worked out perfectly for timing because we haven't had really anything major going on. Yeah.
That sucks.
So that's my fail.
Oh, man. Poor Mav.
Yeah.
Man. Well, I mean, at least they could maybe have the class together.
Right. And I guess it could have been worse. Could have, had to have stitches and stuff. So
True.
He handled it really well. So there's a win.
There's a win for you.
He handled it really well.
That's really good.
Yeah.
He seemed to. He sent a picture she sent me yesterday of the gash. It was like one of those live photos. Mm-hmm. And at the very end, he gave a little smile.
I know. I was like, let mommy take a picture of it for you, or so I can have it. And I took the picture, and he's like,
smiled right at the end.
Yeah.
Oh.
So.
Poor guy. Yeah. You had a busy day yesterday.
Very busy. I also helped my brother move into college. And that's about 1:45 minutes, 2-hour drive.
And that was very shortly after the accident.
Literally right after. And, okay, another fail.
Okay.
Yesterday was chaotic. So we recorded yesterday. Mm-hmm. So in the morning, I just chugged a protein shake, thinking, I'll eat after. Whatever, everything's fine. Then Maverick ate lunch. Michael was cooking his food when said accident occurred. Mm-hmm. So then I didn't eat. Then I had to take him to urgent care. Then I was at urgent care. Then I came back. I shoved some kettle corn popcorn in my mouth. And then my mom picked me up. Mm-hmm. And then we were driving. Then we were loading all this stuff up and down. And then we had to drive back. And I still had no food in my system. I actually got super, super nauseous on the ride back. Because I hadn't eaten and my head was pounding. I just...
Zero blood sugar.
It wasn't water. It was I need food. And so we pulled over at a gas station off the freeway and got a little bit of food. But it was 2 seconds away from being like, Mom, I need you to pull over. I'm pretty sure I'm going to throw up.
Oh.
Yeah.
I hate that feeling. I got that feeling right after I went to the Jeff Dunham concert with my mom and Ellie.
Yeah.
I was so nauseous. I felt like I was either going to throw up or pass out.
Yeah. It was rough. I was starting to
not feel good at all.
I had jeans on. I unbuttoned them. I was like, I need no pressure on my stomach right now because I am going to almost took my bra off. I needed no pressure.
I'm pretty sure I did take my bra off after the Jeff Dunham thing.
Yeah, it was rough. And then I got home and I was like, I have to edit. And I feel like shit.
Oh.
It was fine though.
You could have told me and I would have just done it.
No, it was totally fine. I ate some food and then I chugged a bunch of water, and I was like, I'm not doing coffee because I still have a headache.
Yeah,
Popped
fair.
2 Advil, and I was like, let's buzz this out. It worked out fine.
Thankfully, editing the audio doesn't take super long.
It's not super long. Yeah.
Which is such a good thing.
The only thing that I don't like about editing the audio is when I do it at night, because typically we have all the lights off in the house. And so it really strains my eyes. And then when I'm tired and have a headache on top of it, I'm like trying to click where I need to cut the video.
Fair. Yeah, I do a lot of the editing in the evenings or at night too. Thankfully, like I can turn the brightness way down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And still be able to see because I don't really need to worry about color because I do that right at the very beginning.
Right.
And then I can just dull everything down and then it's good.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So yesterday was a very busy day.
I see that.
Today is more mild. I'm not committing to anything other than the podcast.
My win. I did my nails today.
Ooh.
Thomas picked out the color.
I like the color.
The nails themselves are longer than I'm used to.
I was going to say they look a tiny bit longer.
Yes. So I originally got like the Beatles brand almond shape or whatever.
Okay.
I have almost completely run out of those. And these, I want to say, are also Beatles, but the packaging and everything is very different. It's also like a year's difference from when I bought the original one and this one. Because since I only do my nails every 2-3 weeks, that lasts me a long time. So these ones are like at least a couple millimeters longer, which makes a big difference.
Oh,
and
on nails,
throwing me off.
I bet.
And so I'm trying to get used to them.
I could see that. I like the color a lot, though.
I do too. I haven't used this one yet. It's from the campfire set that my mom got me for my birthday.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I'm loving the color. I'm still getting used to
nice.
it. I had to like rush to get them done because my nail popped off at like 11 o'clock.
Oh no.
I needed to be starting getting ready around like 1 to come here.
Yeah.
Give or take. So I had to take all of my nails off, do them again because I have really thin nails naturally. And so I prefer to just keep the nails on because it allows my nails to grow and be healthy underneath of them without breaking.
Right.
And I'm somebody who I grew up like biting my nails a lot. So this is really helpful for me.
Yeah.
And so I had to rush. This took like 2 hours to take everything off, put it back on, paint them,
gosh.
boom.
Yeah.
And then I had to like bust my butt to do my makeup and whatever. And then I guess I fail. I didn't have enough time to eat lunch.
Same.
I did, however, make muffins for breakfast this morning, and
nice.
we didn't eat them until like 10. So I'm not super hungry. I just had like some cashews. So I'm solid.
Yeah.
But I'm also like mildly hungry.
Yeah. I feel we didn't eat until, well, Quincy slept in. The boys got up early this morning. Quincy slept in till like 9:15, so I just
stayed there.
Call it good. Yeah, it was nice. So we didn't eat until like 9:30, 9:45. So it was a little bit later than normal.
Yeah. My kids have been waking up later.
It's nice when they do.
Like 9:30, 10 o'clock the past couple of days. I'm like,
oh, that's a lot later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for Damon. He still wakes up really early for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like the other day, he was up at like 5 o'clock.
Oh, God.
And kept being like, Mommy, from his room. And I'd get up and I'd go and help him with whatever he needed help with. And then I'd go lay back down. And like as soon as I'm asleep, Mommy.
Of course. Maverick kept coming in this morning and he'd come lay down to me and he'd be like, Mimi, Mommy, wake up. And I'm like, your sister's still sleeping. I'm just going to lay with her till she wakes up.
That's cute. Oh, kids, I swear.
Yeah.
Speaking of, what is one thing you wish you knew about being a mom before you became one?
Good question. I think in general, I wish, and I don't know if somebody could have even described it to me, but I wish you knew how much time is no longer yours.
Yes.
Because I think when you think about having kids before you have kids, I would assume everyone kind of has this thought process. You know you're going to be more busy. You have a whole life to take care of. But I don't think you realize how 24/7 it is until you have said kid. Because even when you're not around them, they're at the babysitter, they're at, public school, they're asleep. Your brain is still on kid.
It is.
And so it's, you really become a whole different person. And I know that sounds really cliche, but you really do.
Oh, 100%.
And I mean, they've had studies come out that like your brain actually changes as a mom, and even as a dad, your hormones change. But it's just, I wish that I would have known just how much time I wouldn't have.
I can agree with that. Like, if I could go back and talk to myself, like,
Right.
honestly, there's a million things I would love to just go back and talk to, like, 16, 17-year-old me and, like, sit down and have some coffee and some food and be like, let's have a conversation about what your life looks like in 10 years.
Yeah.
Because it looks very different than what you probably are imagining now.
Yeah. I think I just went into the headspace of like, yeah, kids are a lot, but I'll have time for myself. Like,
When?
exactly. When, Mandy? Because no, you don't.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you
Very
do.
little.
Yeah. Even if you do, like you said, your mind it's so hard to completely disconnect. And then there's also the like when I was doing my nails today. That's usually like the time where I get to do me.
Right.
The kids probably came back there and talked to me at least 5 times.
Yep.
Ellie would be running around the house, Dad, Dad, and then she'd come back and she'd be like, and run up to me like, Ellie, I'm trying to get this done. I have to hurry. And she'd just be like, huh? And just be trying to grab everything. So I handed her one of my nail polishes that's nice and tight close, handed it to her, and she's just click, 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 click. I was like, oh, my time isn't mine. It never is.
Your time's not yours, and your time's not yours and your spouse's either anymore.
Yes.
And that's a hard thing.
You're always acutely listening.
Yep. Yeah. And, you know, the few times that Michael and I have gone on dates, we just find ourselves talking about the kids. And
Yep.
And there's times where Michael's like, or I'm like, you know, let's try not to talk about the kids. Like, this is just us. Let's just not think about them. And then like 5 minutes later, do you remember when Maverick did blah, 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 blah?
Oh, yeah. Me and Thomas haven't had a date night in quite a while. But I remember one of the last times we did, Thomas was like, all right, we're not going to talk about the kids. We're not going to do this. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine.
What are we going to talk about then?
Yep, just silence.
Yeah.
And being like, well, I mean, I saw a TikTok about...
Yep.
And he'd be like, I don't want to talk about TikTok. I'm like, how is work? I don't want to talk about work. I'm like, okay. Hi, my name's Kaylee.
Yeah, nice to meet ya.
I once read To Kill a Mockingbird like 15 years ago. Not really, but like
right.
You know, you never know what when your life is being a parent. It's so much of you.
Right.
That is being the parent. Like, yes, I have things that I enjoy doing. I enjoy doing my nails. I enjoy reading. I enjoy writing. I enjoy the podcast. I enjoy talking to you. This is a mom podcast, though. In 99% of our conversations. Yeah. Well, actually, I think you might be one of the few people I don't talk about parenting with all of the time.
Oh, okay.
Because you and I don't always. I was just about to say 99% of our conversations are, but then I thought about it. I'm like, actually, no, it's not.
We have quite a few that aren't.
We talk about family sometimes and, you know, parenting, school still. But then we talk about books and food, and we talk about a lot of other things. Yeah. You might be one of the few people that I actually talk to about something that's not being a mom. Yeah. Even my own mom, I'm mostly talking about being a mom.
Same. Same.
And, I mean, it literally does become a part of your personality. I mean, maybe there's somebody out there who can completely separate themselves, but I can't.
Maybe. I'm not there yet.
I'm not there yet.
Maybe I'll never get there yet. I don't know.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's like, you know, when my kids are older, because right now they are all still very young. Right. My oldest is 5.5, and then I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and you have he's 2.
Almost 3.
Almost 3. No, and going on 1. Yeah. So almost 3 and almost 1. I had to think about that for a second. Because I'm like, they're the same age. I don't want to think about that. They're not. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, when they're older, when they're teenagers, is it easier? Because they don't rely on you so much?
I feel like then you have a different kind of stress. Because now what are they doing? Because now they're out of your eye the majority of the time. Yeah. But now you're worried about, like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Are they safe? Are they okay? Are they going through emotional distress? Are they going through a breakup? Are they dating? Or,
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't always talk to you about that, or even if they do, I'm sure you're still going to be worried.
Exactly. And then when they're out of the house, I imagine there's got to be your own worries too. Like, I imagine your mom was probably a little emotional yesterday.
Oh, we both were when we left. I was holding it together. My mom started tearing up, and I was like, Mom, don't do that. And then I was getting emotional, and then Dylan got emotional, and thankfully Dylan had to pee really bad right when we left. So we're all getting emotional, and he's like giving hugs. My mom's, like, if you need anything, call me. Like, no matter what, just call me, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, all right, I love you guys so much, but I gotta pee. And it just broke the ice, and then we stopped being super emotional. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's gotta be so hard. Like, I was talking to my mom about it, and she was saying how, she did it with me. Now she's doing it with him, because she was warning me on the drive up, like, I might get super emotional. And I was like, that's okay.
Did you never left for college, did you?
No, I just moved out.
Okay, so for her, it's a little different, because now he's further away than you've ever been.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
That makes sense.
And she was just, I was like, oh, I know. And she's like, but do you know? And I was like, well, I don't know, but the idea of my kids ever leaving is gut-wrenching, and they're little.
Ugh, no, my head is stuck on that song I sent you this morning.
Oh, God, you gotta not.
It broke my heart. I literally was, like, scrolling through Facebook, and it was like, if you're a mom, you need to listen to this song. And I was like, oh, what's the song? Listen to it. And it's like, these are the days you're gonna want back, or whatever the hell it said. And I'm like, fuck.
Yep. Yeah.
Listen to the song, and I was just literally, I was the only one awake at this time, bawling my eyes out as the fucking muffins are cooking in the oven, and I'm just sobbing, literally.
Yeah.
And then the song ended, and I set it down on my lap, and I'm like,
it got me. But it was.
ugh.
Maverick took me out of it. Because, like, maybe 30 seconds into the song, he was like, what, that song? And I was like, it's a song that Auntie Kaylee sent me. And he goes, I don't like that song. And I was like, okay, sorry. And then Quincy's just over there, like,
dancing to it.
Yeah.
That's cute. I'll link the song down below. I forget who it is off the top of my head, but I have it. So that if you would like to torture yourself as well, you can.
Go for it.
I definitely wasn't expecting to feel that emotion today.
Right, yeah.
And, I mean, that kind of goes hand in hand, too. I really wish that I knew, prior to being a mom, how emotional being a mom is. The little things that make you want to cry.
Little things.
Like when they stop saying wah-wah.
Nema. That's what Maverick used to call it. We watched a video of him saying that the other day, and we both were like, oh my God. And we both just started crying.
Because you don't think, like, you see other kids doing it. And it's just like, oh, that's cute. And then it's just gone.
Yeah.
Out of your mind. But, like, your kid says something the correct way for the first time, and you're like, hold on. No. No. It's not water. It's wawa.
Right. The first time Maverick said water, I was like, and Michael's like, what? And I said, did you hear what he just said? And he's like, yeah, he wants water. And I was like, but he said water. I was like, he didn't say Nema. And then I looked at Mavi and I said, you want Nema? And he goes, Nema? Water. And I was like, oh no, it's gone. It's gone forever.
Yeah. Oh, it's so hard. Like, Damon now says oatmeal correctly. Anna still doesn't.
That's cute.
So Damon would be like, me want oatmeal. Whereas Anna's like, you want some open I don't know why she still pronounces it wrong.
That's funny.
But I'm like, you know what? It's open-o. It's fine.
Right.
She can say that into her teen years and it'll just be a running joke. Anna, you want some open-o? Yeah.
It's funny because you want to teach them the correct way, but at the same time, you're just like, please never say it correctly.
Because, I mean, they just get so much bigger.
And
that's
a hard one.
Like, because as a mom, you want to see those first steps. You want to hear those first words. But then when you think about the tiny little baby that was just on your chest, it feels like yesterday.
I know.
The first time they, like, really looked at you. The those not real smiles, little gas smiles, and you're just like, you're just such a perfect little potato.
You're like, stop walking right now. Get over here.
Exactly. And it's just, you never really realize before you get into it how deep being a parent gets rooted inside of you.
Yeah.
And how it just completely alters every aspect of your life.
It's my
everything.
Whole world. And like, I think before when I would hear that, I'd be like, well, of course, like, you know, you love your partner. They're your whole world. But when you have kids, they are literally your whole world.
Literally your whole
world. My whole life revolves around them. Everything I do, they are the thought that goes along with the action. And that is something which I don't know if anybody could prepare you for.
I don't think so either, because like I don't even know what I would say to past version of myself to get me to fully comprehend it. Like, hey, when you have kids, it's going to consume your life.
Right.
It's like, okay, I'll be busy.
Yeah. Sounds great. Or, you know, even if you compare it to a partner, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or whatever, it doesn't hit the same.
No.
It sure doesn't.
Because like when I realized, and I'm sure you could probably relate to this, when I realized that I was going to be with Thomas, that it was like he was my person, and it was more than just like a fling, just more than a boyfriend. There, you know, this is this extra feeling. It just feels more solid.
Right.
Having kids does not feel solid.
No, because you know they're gonna go. You know they're growing. You know that, and it's hard too because, like, you know, some people say like, I have kids because I grew my best friend. You know, and it's like, in reality, you didn't though. You grew somebody that you are supposed to raise and then push out into society to become a functioning member of society. That's our job.
That's literally our job in like the most basic sense of it.
But my job, I don't want that job. I do, but I don't. I want the job of just loving them and holding them. And I know that is part of my job, but it is hard thinking about the leaving or even the growing.
All of it.
All of it. It's just,
their existence is hard.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is.
But it is gut-wrenching.
Gut-wrenching. My God. Oh, it's intense.
It really is. And then when you bring in another sibling, especially if you do it young.
Right.
Like with Anna, I still felt like she was she was 2.5 when I had Damon. And I mean, the same thing goes for Damon and Ellie. I thought they were still so tiny. And then I gave birth to the next child. And then it was like, oh my God, you're huge.
Yeah.
You are ginormous.
And you can do so much.
Yeah.
What?
I felt that even more with Damon and Ellie because there was a lot smaller of a gap. It was like a 7-month smaller gap, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot when we're talking about a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
Because Damon was just shy of 2 years old. And they are so little. But then they're not once you are this, however big your baby is, pound baby. And they just fit right on your chest. And then you set your baby down and you pick up your other baby, your bigger baby.
And you're like,
and they take up your entire torso.
Oh my God,
and they feel like 1,000,000 pounds. And you're just like, when did that happen?
Right. Because even throughout your whole pregnancy, you're like, this is still my baby. This is still my baby. And then you have your baby and you're like,
you don't grasp it.
You're huge.
And in my experience, because I've done that twice now, the feeling is the same.
Yeah.
You still think your baby is still so tiny and small until the next one comes. And then life just punches you straight in the face and is like, nope, your baby's big.
You know what else punches you in the face? Mirrors. Have you ever held your littlest baby in front of a mirror and like, oh, little cute, they fit on my hip, blah, blah, blah. You pick up your biggest baby and you get in front of a mirror and you're like, they take up my whole body.
And when I hold Anna on my hip, because I still can.
Yeah.
Her head is almost at the same height as my head. And then her legs go down to my knee.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm a very short person.
True. I'm not, I think I'm an inch taller than you. If that.
And so when I hug Anna, her She comes all the way up to almost my boobs.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And she's 5. And so for me, she takes up such a big proportion of my body. Mm-hmm. It's so sad.
And it's crazy too, because from the time they're born till, let's say, Anna, because she's the oldest, 5, how much growth has she had? You know what I mean?
It's so much.
So much. Now take you 5 years ago till now. Yes, you've changed a lot, but I would say overall you're
roughly the same.
Yeah. You don't notice it as much once they're older.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I definitely look older, because Thomas showed me a picture of me holding brand new baby Anna this morning, and I was like, oh God, I'm a fetus. I was like,
that's funny.
I'm an anorexic chicken with braces. Anorexic chicken. Seriously. That is what I looked like. To be fair, I was so underweight back then. So underweight.
Oh my gosh, you just got me. Need a drink?
I had such bad body image issues back then. And like looking back on it now, I'm like, oh God, I was so skinny and unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I did not even realize it. Mm-hmm. And now I'm looking at myself and I'm like, oh, thank God.
I'm healthy. I'm flourishing.
Yeah, 5 years. Yeah. And what? Fucking 40 pounds later? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm better.
I feel like that's the biggest change you see in adults. Weight fluctuations, wrinkles as, you know, they age. But you really don't notice it until you look at a picture.
Yeah.
Kids, from just 0 to 1.
Big difference.
What?
Like, at their first birthday party, and you're like, how has it only been a year, and you are walking? Mm-hmm. When did that happen? And then from 1 to 2, they suddenly have wildly, like, a lot more hair.
Mm-hmm. And then 2 to 3, they're talking in full sentences. They know exactly what they want and what they don't want. You have an opinion now? What?
Yeah. And you know what's really scary for me? So Anna, obviously, like I said, she comes like right up to about boob level. Mm-hmm. Eventually, I'm going to be looking her in the eye when we're both standing. I don't know why that is such a terrifying thought to me.
Yeah.
To be able to just look at my kid directly. I mean, she might even be taller than me, let's be honest. Mm-hmm. And be able to just look at her in the eye and be like, you were a newborn yesterday.
Right.
The fuck did that happen?
Ugh. And I think that's like the biggest thing. I mean, we can get into like the little things here and there, but those are like me, you know. Yeah. Oh, now you have to take a kid with you when you go places and stuff like that. But like, I feel like the emotional side of it.
Sorry.
I feel like the emotional side of it is like top of the list. What I wish I would have known.
Yes. You never know what something is going to be like until you get there. Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing that I wish that I knew before having kids was just how different the kid is from what you probably expected.
That's true.
Because a lot of the times you'll look at other kids and I mean, I think we're all guilty of this prior to having kids. We see somebody else's kid and we say, oh, my kid would never.
Yes.
Yes, your kid will.
Until your kid does, and you're like,
fuck.
Dang it.
Yep. Like, oh, I'm going to teach my kid that my kid's not going to hit.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. My kid's not going to be a biter. I'm going to teach my kid that they're not going to bite. Yes, the fuck they will.
Good luck with that.
All kids do, whether, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and it's not I don't think it's a parenting flaw. It's just part of development.
Mm-hmm. But they will behave so differently. Like, you can probably take guesses. Like, Anna 100% has my attitude. Mm-hmm. And so I can sort of predict. But she has this extra flair to her that I don't feel like I possess. Mm-hmm. My mom says that it's still me. But she catches me by surprise sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, fucking bitch.
Who are you? Whose daughter are you?
Yeah. And then when you have another one and their personality is vastly different, like me and Thomas were talking about that this morning. Anna was always our super kind and friendly, saying hi to everybody. She makes a friend everywhere she goes. She's never really had that much of an imagination.
Yeah.
And was very logical. That's always been Anna.
Yeah.
Damon was our observer with a very intense imagination. This morning he was insisting that there were hyenas around the house, and we had to open the door and yell, "Go away, hyenas!" And so we had to fight hyenas this morning during breakfast.
Maverick's developing his imagination right now.
And then Ellie, so far, has shown us that she's very shy and like the very sweet, playful, but very shy.
Right.
And so it's so weird seeing how different, especially if one of your kids, especially if it's your first, fits the mold almost identical to what you thought you were going to get.
Right.
Because Anna looks exactly the way that I had imagined me and Thomas's children would look.
Right.
You know, behavior-wise, very similar. Thomas is very logical. I'm very sassy. We got exactly that.
Yeah.
In Anna. And then Damon was just like, nope. I'm not going to look like you think I'm going to look. I'm not going to behave the way you think I'm going to behave. I'm going to be the total opposite of what you think you're going to get.
Yeah.
And I wish I could prepare myself for that.
And like I said, I still don't know how you would. Because you don't grasp it until you're in it.
Yeah. Because you could probably explain it to your older self or younger self, I guess.
Yeah.
Former, whatever. And like explain it in perfect detail. Yeah. And they still will not fully grasp it.
Right.
Kind of the same way, and this is a little morbid, sorry. Kind of the same way of like, you never really know what it feels like to have a loved one die.
Right.
Until they do.
Until it happens. You can imagine, but you don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the things that I wish I would have known before having Quincy, and I mean, I was told, but I didn't know, is how much you have to split your time. And how much you feel like you don't get to give. I more feel like I don't get to give Quincy enough.
That makes sense.
Versus Maverick, because I feel like I gave Maverick, because he was my only one at first, he was everything, you know? And now with her, you know, they both are everything, and she is everything. But it's like, I don't just get her. I get her plus him, which I love. But you know what I mean? Like, you don't get to... I don't know what the right term is. You don't get the
one-on-one.
Yeah.
You only get that with the first.
Right.
And that's such a hard thing to realize, is that once that's gone... I remember when I found out that I was pregnant with Damon. And granted, we planned him. Right. So I knew that it was coming. And I remember I actually ended up quitting my job because I worked at a daycare. I worked at the same daycare that Anna was going to. And I hadn't worked there for very long. I worked there for roughly 6 months by the time I was like, I can't anymore. Because it was hard to be away from her when I was working. But then when I got pregnant and I realized that the time that I had with just her was very quickly coming to an end, I quit my job. And Thomas was our sole provider. And I was like, I can't. I have to go back home. I have to spend that time with her. And it was such an emotional time of just like every single day sitting on the floor with her playing. And then when we had Damon, and it was like, she's not just my only baby now.
Right.
And you do have to split your time. And, you know, tuck-ins are different. And... you know, the morning routine is different. Everything is different once you have that second kid.
Everything.
And third and fourth and fifth and 20th. I don't know. I don't know how many kids y'all are having.
Kid, yeah.
And it just gets so divided. And then one-on-one time, the more you have, becomes so much harder. You actually have to, like, pencil it in.
Right, yeah.
Like me and Anna, when... like if she wants to play Barbies or something, Dana and Ellie always try to invade on that. So me and Thomas have to be like, hey, at like 2:00, do you want to like turn on a movie or something with the littles, and I'll go into the back and close the door and play with Anna for like an hour. Yeah. And it's like I have to like schedule that now so that I can guarantee that time.
Yeah. And I 100% understand. It sucks though, because like you want it to just be like, oh, they want to play with me? Okay, I'm going to go play with you. But your small ones don't know that they need that one-on-one time with mom or dad or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And that's hard. Sometimes we'll transfer off like, okay, I'm going to just take Maverick to the store, or I'm just going to take Quincy, or, you know, stuff like that. Just because you have to find the little things to spend one-on-one time with them, because in the home, it's a challenge.
It is, especially if one parent is working out of the home. Then, like, I can't just go disappear and close the door with Anna to go play Barbies, because who's watching the other two?
Exactly, yeah.
You know, Damon isn't asking for one-on-one time yet. He doesn't actually seem to be seeking it out at all. He does very actively play with the other two kids. And Ellie, she's really too young. But part of me wonders if Damon ever is, or if it's never going to be a thing for him, because it never was.
Right, I get that.
Because I don't know if Anna actually remembers.
But maybe
Like intuitively.
Yeah.
Remembers that it used to be just us. Because she was very little.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Maverick, he'll definitely want just one of us to come play with him. But I mean, he doesn't mind that his sister's there. It's just like if he wants to, let's say, build blocks.
Yeah, she destroys it.
He wants Michael and I, or one of us, to be building blocks with him. And if she comes in, even if she's just grabbing one that's like loose somewhere, he's like, absolutely not.
That's kind of, that's how Damon is with Ellie. We're like, nope, I'm doing it myself.
Yeah.
Don't touch.
And Quincy, I've noticed, she likes her independent time. So she will be playing with toys. And I don't remember Maverick ever doing this.
I've noticed that Ellie does this.
She will be playing with toys. Maverick will come over near her to like see what she's doing, and she will just scream at him. And I'm like, I don't think she wants you playing with her right now. And then he'll back off, and she goes back to playing with whatever she's playing with.
Yeah, both, I almost said Quincy and Ellie. Both Damon and Ellie. Actually, I think all three of my kids like their independent time. Damon seems to be the most adamant about it for the most part. Anna always wants to play with somebody. There's a rare occasion where she's fine to play by herself, but usually she wants to play with somebody.
Yeah.
And we'll be like, okay, well, I'm cooking dinner right now. Go play with your brother. And she's like, oh, I don't want to play with him. I'm like, go play with Ellie then. Oh, I don't want to. I'm like, okay, those are your only options right now because I've got chicken on the stove. Like, I can't.
Yeah, Maverick likes his independent play too.
I try to always, like, in circumstances where I can't play with the kids, or like if one of them is specifically like Anna asking me, and if I am unable for whatever reason, I always try to include her in whatever I am doing.
Right.
Or like, you know, so if I'm cooking, like, well, you want to come help me cook? Or if I'm like nursing Ellie, I'll be like, well, do you want to turn a movie on and come cuddle with me? Like, you know, doing something to try to, because when they want to play with you, they want that bond. So doing something to
include them,
to include them and to, you know, facilitate the bond that they're searching for, just in a way that maybe works for everybody.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
But you're totally right. I wish that I could tell myself and explain to myself how thin your time becomes and how stretched you are. And it doesn't seem to get any easier with more kids.
Yeah.
Because then
I can't imagine.
Then you just have more and more kids that are, you know, stretching you thin. But I imagine, because I've heard a lot of people say that after a certain point, they all really just keep each other entertained.
Yeah. And I mean, I've even noticed it with Maverick as he's gotten older and more independent. You do get that little bit more freedom. Then you get a little bit more emotional because then they don't, you know.
Yep.
They don't as easily want to come snuggle with you when you want to snuggle and stuff like that. But I have noticed that through his independence, it becomes a little bit easier to like get things done. And now Quincy's starting to become slightly, ever so slightly independent. And so then you kind of, I almost then feel like then you're stuck with, what do I do? Who am I?
Yeah.
What do I like to do? What could I even do in this time? I still have to watch the kids. What could I do while I'm watching the kids and wanting to do something for myself? And
that's that becomes writing books.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a journey. And I think that's what I was not made aware of. I mean, I'm sure people told me, but I wasn't made aware of prior to having kids, is that it is such a journey, and not just a journey of motherhood. It's a journey of like womanhood and just being your own self again. And you can't always go do the things that you liked to do before, or maybe they've changed and you don't like to do the things that you did before. Mm-hmm. And so that's taxing.
It really
and
is.
It's stressful, and it almost makes you feel like you're in a midlife crisis of what am I doing?
Yeah. Ugh. You know, another thing that I wish I knew? How different your body becomes, feels, is.
It's broken.
After having babies. Because, I mean, you go, like, you know, you have, like, complete autonomy of your body, mm-hmm. right? And you can use it however you please.
Right.
You know your body. You're happy with it. Maybe you're not. I don't know.
True.
But, like, you know your body.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're growing a baby in there for 9-10 months, depending on what kind of month you're talking about. You birth it, whatever way you end up birthing it. And then breastfeeding or not, your boobs still produce milk regardless. Right. And then it's just different. Your hips are wider. Your boobs are bigger. Maybe you got stretch marks.
Your back's more sore. Mm-hmm. Your neck's more sore. You're tense.
Yeah. You went from having a body that didn't just belong to you anymore. Mm-hmm. And you either stretch the shit out of it or you cut it open mm-hmm. to get the baby out of there. And then if you nurse, that is a time commitment.
Yeah, it is.
I have been breastfeeding for every single day for the last 5 years, 8 months, and some odd days.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day.
That's a lot.
At least once a day.
Right.
Most days more than that. But, like, there have been very few little trickles of times where, like, it'll be just once, maybe twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes more kids, more than one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Like.
Well, because I guess I've been nursing for just shy of 3 years. But I had, like, a 2-month break mm-hmm. when I was pregnant with Quincy because Maverick stopped nursing towards the end of my pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's weird because I think having that 2-month break really threw me. Because I'm like, that was kind of nice.
That was kind of nice. Yeah. See, I've never got that break. I've been nursing ever since Anna was born.
Yeah.
Because Anna didn't stop when I was pregnant with Damon.
Right.
Even though my milk dried up.
Right.
She still comfort nursed, mm-hmm. which is painful, by the way, in case you're curious.
Like a rough time.
It's like sandpaper.
Ouch.
It's like sandpaper and an Indian burn kind of mixed together. It's just not pleasant.
Not a good time.
I did not dry up between Damon and Ellie, though, and Damon nursed the entire time. Mm-hmm. And Damon still, on occasion, nurses.
Yeah.
And Ellie obviously still nurses.
Right.
So, almost 6 years straight, I've been nursing, and I'm predicting I'm going to be nursing for a while longer, because I still want more kids, and so I've got a few more years.
You're going to rack up those years some more.
Ugh.
Yeah. It's wild.
It really is. And then what do you do when those years are over, when your body, like, is yours again?
But I've heard some people go completely flat. I mean, that's physical appearance. But they'll just... Their boobs are like, I've done my purpose, I am done.
I have heard the same. You know, I wouldn't be that opposed because my back and my neck hurt all the time. I wouldn't be opposed. I'm done having my Fs. Yeah. If they could go back to Bs, I would be a happy camper.
It might.
Thomas might not be so happy, but I would.
But you would feel better.
I would feel so much better.
Yeah, your body gets jacked up.
It does.
It really does. No matter how you birth. That.
Yeah.
Your body's jacked up.
Now, I will say, I am very proud of my body. Mm-hmm. Prior to having kids, like I said earlier, I had a lot of body image issues. Apologies for that interruption. My card was full, and I went back to delete some old videos that we've already done our stuff with, and I had to go back. And I didn't realize that the card has a bunch of really old photos of the boys and mm-hmm. Anna. They were, like, tiny. So much younger. Oh. Maverick sitting there
That was
with
a trip.
The diapers. Big old blue eyes. Oh, that
so precious.
broke my heart. What was I talking about?
I don't even know. Oh, you're liking your body more.
Oh, yeah. So I didn't I didn't like my body growing up. I felt so much bigger than I really was. I was a very tiny person. I had a lot of body image issues. And after I had Anna, and I had her, I did a natural birth with her in a birth center. And I didn't have any like medications or anything. That's what I mean by that. And I was so proud of what my body did, because when I had first started talking about how I was planning that type of birth, I got a lot of people being like, you won't be able to handle that. You could never. You'll be begging for the epidural. Just go to the hospital. Like, you don't need a trophy.
Right.
Like, I got all of those comments.
I got a few of those comments.
I hate those comments. And then when...
Not doing it for a trophy.
Yeah. When I did it, though, I was like, shit. Dust myself off. I'm happy here. Like, I felt like I had... And it isn't even just that I did it all natural, or that I think it's superior. It's that I did what I was hoping to do.
Right.
You know, and that's going to look different for everybody. You know, if your only goal is to birth a healthy baby, and you birth a healthy baby, you deserve that fucking trophy.
Right, exactly.
If your goal is to have a planned cesarean section and to heal beautifully from it, and you do that, here's your trophy.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You deserve that shit.
Yeah.
Eat that cookie. You know, for me, this was my goal.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was so proud of myself. And I was like, my body did that.
Yeah.
And then I did it again. And then I did it again. And my body looked drastically different after each time. Ellie changed my body so much. I did not get stretch marks with the other two kids, but I did with this one. I gained the most weight with Ellie. And I went for a little bit there where I was like, I don't like the way my body looks.
Right.
But then I birthed her and I was like, fuck, yes.
Right.
Like, I am so proud of myself again.
Yeah.
And now I am like the most confident that I have ever been. And I'm so proud of myself.
See, I feel like it's a good confidence boost. I know a lot of people, or at least you hear of a lot of people, you know, they don't like their bodies after birth and stuff. I don't feel that way.
I don't feel that way either.
I mean, are there things that, obviously, little tweaks that I wish could be made to my body? Sure, but I think I would feel that regardless if I had or hadn't had kids. I think I appreciate my body a lot more, though.
Yes.
Because of what it's done. It's grown 2 humans. It's birthed 2 humans. Like, that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Like,
I grew them, I birthed them, I fed them. Like, I did that.
Yeah. My body did that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It is so wild.
Because, like, you can go make something in a factory, but I created a whole life.
It took a long time doing it, too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a wild ride. For sure.
It really is. Oh, gosh. And it's a sentimental journey, and it's not like anything else. Because it isn't self-discovery, but it kind of is.
Right.
In a way.
Yeah.
And I mean, you and I both can agree with this statement of we always wanted to be moms. We always felt like that was just part of our journey as people.
Right.
And as women, as what we're going to be. We're going to have our own babies. And what you become afterwards, it is nothing like what you think it's going to be.
No.
And if you're listening to this podcast and you've had kids, then you probably know exactly what we're talking about. But if you haven't had kids yet, if you're thinking about having kids, the only thing that I can say to maybe sort of get that across is it's like an elevated version of who you are.
Yeah.
You become so much more when this little beating heart that you created is now existing on its own. It's a piece of you.
Right.
And I saw this thing the other day, and it said that every single pregnancy that you have, you know, an exchange of DNA happens inside of your body. Some of your children, every single one, their DNA stays with you and moves throughout your body. They might go into your brain, they might go into your heart, they might go into your lungs, and they stay with you for the rest of your life.
Oh, that's cool.
And I don't remember what the study said as far as like how early that begins, but they said that even early miscarriages, I just don't know exactly how early that is, that happens, but that knowing that like
they're always with
they're
you
always
somewhere.
there.
Yeah.
You know, there's little bits of Anna, little bits of Damon, little bits of Ellie that are just inside of me that will always be with me for forever.
Yeah. That's, it's crazy. I don't even know what to tell somebody who hasn't had kids, like on how to describe all this. I guess if I would leave with a piece of advice, just really reflect and like know that once your kids are here, you will reflect more on yourself than you ever thought imaginable. Ever. You rethink a lot.
You do.
A lot.
You rethink, you second guess. You like your choices are not just spontaneous anymore. I mean, certain things, sure. Like what you're going to have for dinner can still be spontaneous.
But bigger life changes and bigger...
the car you get. Where you live.
Yeah. It all becomes a factor. Because I don't know how many times you and I say, well, if it was just Thomas and I, if it was just Michael and I, then we would do X, Y, Z. Or we wouldn't care about X, Y, Z. But the kids, they just influence literally your whole life. And that might seem like common sense. Of course, your kids are going to influence your life. But you don't realize just how much until you have kids.
It's everything.
So almost don't go into it with expectations. Just know that it's a lot.
It really is. Oh, it so is.
But it's great. It's wonderful.
It's beautiful.
It's just very emotional.
It's beautiful. It's exciting. It's happy. It's sad in some moments. It is frustrating.
Yeah.
Stressful.
Yeah.
But it is adorable.
It's a little and then not so little. Oh, yeah.
Then you go back and look at a photo that when you first took it, you're like, oh my kid's so cute. And you go back and look at it a year later and you're like, oh my God.
If any of you have an iPhone, I don't know if Android does it because I don't have Android. But you can
the
go
memories
the
thing?
1 year, like what happened 1 year ago. And Michael and I always go through that and we always cry.
Yeah.
Same. Every single time. Ugh. Their voice changes in a year.
I remember when I made the Mavericks 1 year birthday video.
We can't even watch them. Like we can, but we can't.
I remember I was crying just making that, and I'm his aunt.
I know. I need to make one for Quincy too. I think for her first birthday because I didn't make one when she was born, and so I'm like, that's the other thing about having multiple.
You can send me that stuff. I can make them for you.
Okay.
I'll make you one for her birth. Okay. Even though it's like way later than that, but I can still make one for you.
That's true.
I can make one for her first.
Okay.
I got you.
You don't. It's almost like you can't give enough of yourself to the next kid and the next kid and the next kid because there's just not enough time. Now you have more kids, and so or you forget about things, or not that things become less important, but you realize like, oh, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
It was more of a want with that kid kind of a thing.
Exactly. You also start to really realize, like, kind of what you were just saying. The things is like, okay, well, I did that because it meant a lot to me before I did it, and then I did it, and then I realized I didn't care about it as much as I thought I would.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Well, and you carry a lot of guilt with it. Like I have a baby book for Maverick that I think I've written maybe a couple sentences in, and that's it. Fair. I don't have one at all for Quincy. And I have always thought like I need to finish Mavericks, but now I'm like I haven't even started Quincy's. Like and I start to get into a panic because I'm like I'm not going to remember all these things because you know you do start to forget things. I saw this TikTok the other day that literally made me sob because she was like something along the lines of like you yearn to like remember every little moment, but you're not going to remember like the feeling of their hand on you. You're not going to remember like the little kisses. You're not going to remember you're not going to remember like their tiny arms wrapping around you. Like just it's hard to hold on to because you want to remember every single moment, but you also don't want to be like stuck behind a phone, like videotaping them or like taking pictures all the time because you want to be present as well. And so it's a battle.
It really is.
I want to remember every single detail. I remember that was such a panic when Maverick was born with my postpartum anxiety. I remember I have him on my phone still. I took pictures of every little, like, his ear up close, his eyes up close, his little nose, his little lips, his little toes, his little fingers, his little, like, everything. Because I was like, I don't want to ever forget this. And, like, thinking back on it, I don't really remember, like, I do and I don't remember exactly what that was until I go back and look at a picture. Thank God for that technology. But man, that's a crushing thing.
It is. You know what else? The lasts.
I know. The firsts are exciting. The lasts
so beautiful.
Are so sad and exciting, but sad. Heartbreaking, gut-wrenching.
Yeah. Like the last time your baby nurses. For some reason, that one is so hard.
So hard. And mine happened during pregnancy, so it was really rough.
Ugh. The last time they say mama in just their little baby voice. The last time they use, you know, the wrong word for whatever it is. And then there's going to be the last baby, too.
The last time you pick them up.
Oh, God.
That one really gets me for some reason.
The part that I'm the most scared of is the last pregnancy. I don't know why that thought. Like, I'm like, I'm going to just have, like, a kid every 2 years until I can't anymore because I can't commit to a last child in my heart of hearts.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you would be okay with that.
I don't know either.
Of just being like, I'm content with this being my last baby, and then birthing that child and looking them in the face and being like, this is the last first.
Yeah.
This is the last time I will meet my baby for the first time.
Yeah.
And then just being like, all right, let's go. Change your diaper.
All right, I have to hold together now. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not prepared for that.
No.
Like,
I'm not prepared for if there becomes a time where, like, I don't know that it's the last. That really messes with me.
Yes.
Because Michael and I have talked about, you know, having more kids or not having more kids. And I'm like, thinking that Quincy is my last and I didn't know it and I didn't savor it in the right way
would terrify you.
Terrifies me. Like, my palms are sweating. Like, I'm not kidding. Yeah, it's just a lot.
It is. Oh, it's so much.
It's so just like,
ugh.
And maybe not everybody feels that way. And I know not everybody wants to be a mom, but wanting more children, I guess gives me that anxiety.
It does. And like, I don't know if it's just men, but like Thomas has confidently been like, yeah, I could be done having kids.
So is Michael. I know. I don't know if it's our maternal instincts. I don't know what it is.
I can't commit to that.
I know. That's hard. That's a commitment.
Yeah. Like I tell myself after 5 kids, I'm done. Do I mean it?
Right.
I don't know if I
say
mean
I want 4 and done, but I want even.
Yeah.
So if I have a 5th, I have to have a 6th.
Right? Like I sit here and I'm like, 5 is my max. I don't want to have any more. I don't want to birth that many babies. But when let's say I do get to that point and I have that 5th baby, am I going to be able to confidently say that I'm done? And that I'm content with closing that chapter? Because that's a huge chapter to close.
Yeah, I don't know. I would imagine it's easier if you let more time pass because now you're getting older and so it will become more challenging on your body, on, you know, everything. But that would be hard. And I just hope, and this goes for all the moms out there that, you know, struggle with getting pregnant or can't after a first or can't at all, that feeling of not being able to and wanting to, I don't want to ever get to that, because I felt that way when I was getting pregnant with Maverick. You know, like, what if I get to an age where it's like, oh, I still want more, but now my body won't allow me to.
I think that's one reason why I really wanted to start young, was so that once I reached that age, I would probably be okay with the kids that I have. Right. And I would feel at least content enough. I could live out the rest of my life not necessarily feeling like I was missing out.
Right.
Whereas, you know, that's what I kind of feel like with people who they want to become a mom, but then it takes them forever to find the right person. And then they're like 35 And they're like, my clock's ticking. And you see that in movies a lot.
You do.
That's kind of what I'm referencing a little bit right now, because I don't know anybody personally.
Yeah.
I'm also only 24.
Right.
So my friend pool is limited. And, you know, you see it in movies where they're like, my clock is ticking, I gotta find somebody. And they end up dating their intern. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
And it ends up going perfect. But then they only ever end up having like one kid. But if there's somebody that wanted like a big family, it's like life does not always cater to what you want.
Not at all. Especially with kids.
Yeah. Because if you want 5 kids, but you don't get married until you're 37, your time is severely limited.
Very.
And so, could you realistically pop out 6 kids? I mean, sure, if you did IVF.
I'm sure you could try.
You could sure try. Go for it.
I'm sure there's people who have.
Have fun practicing.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, I just can't even imagine that kind of... Ugh.
I can't either. And I know that I'm so ignorant to that feeling right now because I'm nowhere near it. But I know that someday I am going to be that old. And I'm going to have to close the bringing new babies into the world chapter of my life. And I know that I'll still get to hold a newborn again someday. I mean, with as many kids as I have, one of them's guaranteed to have a child, right?
Right. Statistically,
yeah, at least one of them's gonna have a baby of their own. And so I'll be able to like hold my grandchildren and stuff, but I know that that's not the same.
No.
As your own babies that you birthed yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, and we have our own special connections with them through the type of birthing that we do. You know, I pull my babies out myself. I pulled the last 2 completely out all by myself. Anna was kind of caught by the midwife, kind of caught by me, a little bit of both. Damon, they were hands off. Ellie was a little bit of both, mostly me. And just the doing it yourself and bringing them up all by yourself, that's a moment right there. Yeah. And to say that someday that it will be your last time, and like that moment happens so quickly.
Oh yeah, it's such a fleeting moment, and you only get the high of that moment for such a short time.
Yeah.
And then yes, you can always go back in your memory bank and remember it, but it's not that powerful. It's happening except for that like first few hours.
And not to mention that there is a downside to natural birth, is you kind of forget. Because your body's like, that hurt a lot. We're gonna
forget about that, and you're gonna want to do that again.
Yeah, exactly. And so like the exact moment, I know that it happened. I have it on video. I can watch it, but I can't physically remember it. I don't remember what that felt like. I remember kind of leading up to it, but that very specific, that first, their skin's on my skin.
Yeah.
I can't remember it.
Yeah.
But I know it happened.
I can't really remember it with Maverick, but I can remember it with Quincy a little bit better. Probably because she's my most recent, but... Yeah.
I can remember it with all of them.
But not the actual feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's scary knowing that eventually I'm going to have to say, okay,
this is it.
This is the last time I'm going to birth a baby. And try so desperately to hold on to every part of that labor and every part of that delivery and take those extra breaths to just slow everything down.
Yeah.
And I birth quickly, so that's kind of hard.
I know. I was going to say, and they just keep getting quicker. So it's a little harder to slow things down there.
Yeah. When I've got 3 hours to come to terms with...
Start to finish.
Okay, all right, this baby is coming. This baby is here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a hard one. It's all hard.
That's kind of one thing where, like, I look back on Anna's labor, and I'm like, I actually got to kind of savor it, though.
Same.
Damon and Ellie were so fast that I'm just like, it just kind of was.
Yeah. If I would have been able to have Maverick out of hospital, I know that he would have been my favorite labor.
I think you're right.
Because the time leading up to when I went to the hospital, I loved. Yes, I was in pain, but I loved.
See, I'm excited for when, if, I guess, whatever, you have a third. I really want to see how different you handle it. Because with Maverick, you know, he was a hospital that you wanted out of hospital.
Right.
Ellie, you wanted out of hospital. That's what I meant. Quincy, you wanted out of hospital. You got it, but I think you were scared the whole time.
Yeah.
Or nervous. Or
I don't think I was scared until the point of transition.
Yeah.
And then I was terrified. And I was like, there's no way this is about to happen. Mm-hmm. Somebody needs to do something. Mm-hmm. Call the doctor. Like, somebody do something.
And so if you have a third,
now that I know that feeling's coming and I actually know what it will be like,
I'm kind of excited to see how you handle it.
Yeah.
I wonder if your third's just going to be like the chill birth.
Mm-hmm. That would be nice.
Because Damon was such a chill birth.
Yeah.
I mean, you weren't there. So,
right.
But like, Ellie was a little bit more like, I don't know about this. I don't feel
well,
good.
It didn't help that Damon was awake for that good chunk of it.
So the very beginning when like all of those contractions started to get bad, it was like I was having to focus on him.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't just like, Yeah.
You weren't vibing.
I wasn't vibing as much.
Yeah.
We'll see for next time.
Yeah. We shall see.
We shall see. And so I look forward to hearing about your next one.
Me too.
Assuming you have one.
Me too. Hopefully. Hopefully not for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of soon to somebody.
That would be soon to a lot of people, yeah. Mm-hmm. Because some people try to put larger gaps in between.
Right.
Clearly, we don't quite follow that pattern.
Mm-mm.
Nope. But, nonetheless, those were some of the things that we wish we had known. And some, I don't know, this one was a little bit emotional.
Yeah, it was. I think we held it together really well.
I think so too.
Because any other time we would have had this conversation, I probably would have been
Same, especially with our interruption with the photos.
Yeah. If you would have caught me yesterday, I think I had a cleanse from crying with Dylan. So if you would have caught me yesterday, we would have been a wreck.
Yep, I think I got my cleanse in this morning with that song.
Yep. So, alrighty, well, send us in what you wish you would have known, maybe you're about to have a kid and you want some advice. Send us questions. If we can answer them in any way, we will.
We'll try.
Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, send us to a friend, and we will see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.